Get in the van. Come down to the bunker. S has H the fan. I repeat, S has H the fan. It's time to eat those MREs from Vietnam I got in the bunker. Come on down. Over.
Hey y'all, my name is Brian with Prepping for Everyone, and we're here today to talk about how you can get into the prepping mindset. If this is new to you, or even if you are, you have been prepping, you might get some new ideas from this video, so follow along. First, we're going to talk about some popular misconceptions about prepping, and we're going to talk about what prepping actually is. A lot of people, myself included before I started prepping, watched the television show Doomsday Preppers and saw these people who make these bunkers with algae that they can eat and, pills and all this other stuff. You can go crazy with this stuff if you really want to. But most preppers are not like that. Most of us are just normal average people who want to be ready for disaster, for emergency, for war, you name it. There's lots of different reasons that people get into prepping. Every single prepper you talk to will have a different reason and a different thing that they tell you absolutely have to do, etc. Be skeptical of that. Most of us haven't lived through the apocalypse or a very, very serious emergency, but you'll have to figure out on your own what's going to be important for your prepping. I think a lot of people now, especially after Hurricane Helene hit North Carolina and have seen the devastation that has been caused over the last week, see the value of emergency preparedness. And that's really what prepping is. We're preparing for potential emergencies that may affect us, our family, our neighbors, our community. And if you go on to the Preppers subreddit, you will see a lot of people talking about how their emergency preps have helped them and saved their lives or saved the lives of others. We're not going to get into a ton of specifics about things you should do or shouldn't do, very, very specific things. We'll cover that in future videos. But right now, I want to help you start to figure out what your prep is going to look like. The first thing you want to do is find out why you're prepping. Is it for natural disasters? Is it for nuclear war? Is it for a grid down situation? There are many, many reasons to prep. After you've figured out what you're specifically prepping for, and it can be multiple things too, don't get me wrong, figure out what's going to be missing that you have when everything is okay. So for example, in almost every prep, we're talking about food. Do you have food for your family, for yourself? Maybe some to share with your neighbors. Do you have water, access to water that is not only plentiful, but clean and drinkable? Some people are into home defense and might say, hey, I want to have enough ammo and weapons to defend my home in case someone is trying to come in and hurt my family during such an emergency while tensions are so high. Again, you get to pick which of these things is important to you. My favorite preps to do are the ones that cover multiple situations. So if there is a hurricane, let's take North Carolina, right? There's a hurricane, the grid is down. Either I have to leave my home or I'm stuck in my home because of flooding. I don't have access to food, water, outside help, anything like that. So what I want to do is have non-perishable food that can easily be prepared without heat or with just a fire. Want to have a ton of extra water and supplies to make sure that water is potable. I want to have a way to communicate with people when the internet's down, when there's no cell service. So I use ham radios, and actually ham radios have been really, really helpful in the North Carolina situation. This not only covers if there's a hurricane or a tornado or a wildfire or anything like that. If there's a nuclear war or for any reason the grid goes down and I can't get to supplies that are at the grocery store or it's not safe to do so, I've got the stuff that I need to stay home. It's called bugging in and to be prepared to help my family get through the emergency. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about prepping is that people think that you're doing apocalypse prepping, that we're going to survive some Walking Dead or Mad Max world. And I mean, maybe that'll happen someday. I don't know. But I don't think you can actually prepare for that, right? Can you actually have everything you need to survive in Mad Max? Probably not. So what prepping really is is preparing yourself to survive a particular emergency for a short period of time. We know that North Carolina is going to be okay at some point. It's still not okay right now, but at some point, maybe in a month, maybe in a few weeks, hopefully soon, it's going to be okay. And so your prep should really be designed to survive that hopefully short crisis. If there's a 3-year long period where the power's out in America, you've got bigger problems, and there's not. I don't know if I mean, maybe the bunker guy is right. I don't know. I'm not shooting for that. I think you could drive yourself crazy doing that. So it's really thinking about those emergency situations that you could find yourself in, that you may want to prep for your family. There is another thing to think about, and I briefly mentioned this. There are 2 scenarios when there's a serious emergency, okay? One is called a bug-in, where you stay home, you get to hunker down, and have enough supplies to survive that particular emergency. The second one is called a bug-out scenario. Let's say there's a wildfire in your neighborhood. Maybe you live in California or an area prone to wildfires. That is what we call a bug-out situation. You need to have, if a wildfire was coming to your house right now, what would you grab? Okay. For me, I've got a go bag. And this is one of the first preps that a lot of people do. It's called a go bag. It's got a change of clothes. It's got emergency supplies. It's got some medical supplies. Everyone's go bag looks a little bit different. We all kind of decide what's going to be the right thing for our go bag. But it is a bag that if there were a serious emergency where I had to leave my house right now, it's got everything I need to get to safety a few hours away. It's got enough to help me survive for a few days on the road. So as you decide what specifically you're prepping for and what things you want to do, think also about bug out versus bug in. Can you cover both scenarios without going over your budget or your capability or what you're willing to do to be prepared? So before we leave, if you have liked this video, please hit the like button below, hit subscribe and follow. There's going to be a lot more prepping videos for just average people. Nothing crazy. This is stuff that can help protect you and your family and your community. The first steps, again, you're going to write down what scenario you are preparing for, or multiple scenarios, what things you're going to need that don't exist if the grid is down or whatever trouble happens in that scenario, and make a bug out plan and a bug in plan so that no matter what happens, you can prepare yourself and survive the emergency. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon.